Good morning, guys. I wanted to give you a sample of a PowerPoint slide for the good or for the bad, but just so you can see an example of what your slideshow for one of your British authors could look like. This is a sample from the college class that I taught a few years back. This is a PowerPoint on Shakespeare, so notice the clever title up here on the title slide. Much ado about Bill, referring to William Shakespeare as Bill to be clever. You have the student's name as well as the class here, and you also have the visual picture of William Shakespeare. Just to go ahead and get it off the bat, the requirements for this project are a 5-slide PowerPoint presentation. One of the slides should be a title slide, similar to what you can see here. You also need to have one slide that lists important events in the author's life. So you don't have to tell me everything that happened, just the 3 to 5 important events. It should have one slide that talks about the important works. There could be an author who only did one important writing, or it could be someone who did several. Again, you only have to include 3 to 5 of the most important things that they wrote. It could be books, poems, plays, whatever it is. You also want to include one slide that is a summary of some of the criticisms about the author. And remember, criticism doesn't necessarily mean negative or bad. It could be positive criticism of the work. But you do want to have one slide where you tell me what critics said about the play or poem or whatnot, and then tell me which critic you're referring to. And then you should have at least one visual. This could be its own slide, or it could be included on a slide such as you see here. And then you have to have a works cited slide. So essentially this would be a 4 to 5 slide PowerPoint, depending on whether you include the visual as its own slide. Okay, so those are the requirements for the project. You have to meet those requirements as well as the font size, which we talked about on the previous slide. Remember, nothing smaller than 30, preferably 40 size font. Everything should be easy to read, those kinds of things. So let's just flip through so you can see what this student did. This is the first slide, the title slide. You are required on your title slide to include the author, which he has done here, Bill, it should actually say William Shakespeare, as well as your name, so that I can see on the first page what this PowerPoint is about and who did it. Okay, so notice that is something this student would probably want to fix, right? On the second slide, we have a list of some important events, okay, birth, baptized, nicknames, some of the, who he performed with. Notice the clever thing the student has done is start off each of his slides, and you'll see this later. He's started off each of his slides with a quote from a William Shakespeare poem or play, and then he's told me where it comes from. So notice he cited it up here. So that's a pretty nice thing to do, to be clever. I'm not expecting that, but it is something nice that that this student did. He has a second slide of important events. He didn't want to cram it full, so he went on to the next one. Okay, famous works. Sorry about that. Famous works. He actually does. He makes a joke of it. You don't need to be entertaining in these slides, but he does go through and list the important works of Shakespeare, dividing them up into categories. His different periods, comedies, histories, those kinds of things. So he has several slides about that, and that makes sense because Shakespeare, was a prolific writer. He even goes into some of the sonnets that he wrote. Okay. Then again, he continues with the important events. You can do this if you want. Put events, events at the beginning, important works in the middle, events at the end of life if you'd like to. Then, some important quotes here. Again, you don't have to do that. And then he cites it. Okay, so one of the slides that he's missing is real criticism of the work. That's something that I expect you to do. Okay, look for what people have said about their works. And then you also, as this student has done, they have cited it in MLA format. MLA formatting is a little different today than it was, the 5 or 6 years ago when this student wrote theirs. So you'll just follow the handout for MLA citation that I gave you at the beginning of class. But again, you do have to cite whatever sources you use, including the source that you use to get the picture from. So even if you got it from a Google search, Google is not the citation. Whatever website that picture came from is what you'll want to include. Okay? If you have any questions about your author PowerPoints, let me know. Thanks.